So the first thing is the date, which I believe is the 4th of February
Yes,
2026.
yes.
I'm the interviewer. My name is Rosa Wolf Ainley. I should say before we start, I'm often very hoarse. My voice just crackles a lot. It's just one of those things. And your name is,
David Furlong.
and could you spell that, please?
Yes, David David Furlong.
Fantastic, thank you. And could you also say where we are meeting?
Yes, we're meeting at the Trap Rehearsal Studio at 46 Oxford Drive in London Bridge.
Fantastic. And the name of the project is the Checkpoint Project for Border Crossings. Yeah. So it's all about your stories and your memories, and also to say that it's your interview, so it's entirely up to you what you want to cover and what you want to share. When I was looking back through my notes from the training before we met up today, I came across this quote. I think it was from Rib, and it said, "It's more of a soup bowl than a filing cabinet." And I just thought that really sort of encapsulates it
Mm.
really, really well. These sort of different ideas, different flavors, etc. It's also worth saying again that given that it's an interview, not a conversation, there may be some short silences, and also I might be making some notes to remind myself of things to ask you about. And I guess from there we can start. So, as I understand it, you're the artistic director of Exchange,
Yes,
and the Young Vic Joe director.
I was.
You
Yes.
were, and you were born in Mauritius. You studied in Paris,
Hmm.
and now you're based in London. The interview is all about your involvement with border crossings. So perhaps you start by telling me about that, how that came about.
So, um, yes, as an actor, a non-European actor from Mauritius, trained in Paris, identity was always something very important for me. Um, and and also the intersection of different identities, because that is in my DNA, in my personal origins, mixed race Mauritian, and and also at the same time I sort of became very French by training in France in drama, in classical drama, and when I was studying in the National Theatre of Chaillot in Paris. Um, the theater of Robert Lepage, the Canadian director, really struck me and kind of changed my life and my perspective. I was looking at his show, his 8 hour long show called The Dragon Trilogy, and I was amazed at how um, theater could tell us about the macro situation of the world, but starting from almost like it it deals with a small community in Quebec, French speaking and Asian community. And this really had a big imprint on me. And then when I finally graduated, I was looking for a place to fulfill this need for something out of the canon, I guess, French canon especially. And also, I wasn't working because in France they didn't know what to do with me. Um, I'm not Moroccan. I'm not really. I can't tell the stories of immigration, French immigration and colonization. Um, and also, we're talking 20 years ago. There was still a kind of white domination of the acting world. And I thought, because of work that I had seen coming from the UK, that I would find it here. I wanted to do my Mahabharata.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, which is not really logical when you think about it, because Peter Brook left. So, and he moved to Paris. So, I don't know what I was thinking. But certainly at the time there was also Deborah Warner. There was a lot of work coming. Oh yeah, Chik Bajal. So Declan Donnellan was doing his work in London at the Barbican, and there was a sense that I would find this by coming to London.
Can you put a date or a decade on this?
Yes, it was. Um, well, also on a personal level, I met my partner of at the time. So, and that's between 2002 and 2005. And then I moved into London for good after chunks of 3 months there, 3 months there. I moved to London in 2005. And then I'm getting to border crossings, but the thing is that very quickly I found out I was wrong. That Britain was also very embedded in the canon, that there was no room for me, even though I knew how to say Shakespeare. I had, you know, I didn't feel really that. Um, I felt that what was radiating out of the UK was actually on the margins here. Maybe sort of big margins, Barbican and National Theatre, but actually, when you go into like the fabric of theatre 20 years ago, ah, it was a bit. Um, I couldn't find what I was looking for. Um,
That must have been very disappointing.
yeah, looking back, I think it is and it was, but I didn't allow myself to think that.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I was 25 and I had this energy to, I don't know, maybe I thought there was a path that I was not finding and that I needed to find to get to these people. I don't know whether that's wrong, actually. Uh, maybe there was and I didn't find it. I don't know.
When you say these people, are you talking about particular directors
Hmm.
or other actors or texts that you hadn't become aware of yet? Or maybe all of the above?
Um, yeah, all of it.
Mm.
Um, and then I think a year on after being here, I don't remember how because I was, of course, I was making myself very aware of what was going on and who was doing what venue, and when you first arrive in a place, I mean, I would advise people to do that. You know, make yourself acquainted with who's doing what and where.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember finding, I think it was reorientations, um, and looking at just the pictures, their copy, and I was like, oh, this might be exactly what I'm looking for, actually. It had this kind of Lepage vibe to it.
So tell me about our reorientations.
Well, the thing is, that's funny because I don't remember the show very well. I know that it is. I have the book and I could just reread it, but um, I remember that there was Tony Guilfoyle in the show, and Tony was in Dragon Trilogy as well. Um,
Was he also in The Great Experiment?
and yeah, and then yeah, so that's
We'll come on to that.
yeah, yeah. So and I think that's also part of what drew me to the show, probably because there was this performer that I had seen in a show that really had a big impact on me, and um, and it was wonderful. Like nobody was doing this at the time. Um,
What was it in particular that drew you to it? Was it about the form of it, about the script, about
I think
the
everything.
subjects?
Um, what's left of it now is an impression that I was exactly watching something to which I belonged. So I don't know. I don't, like I said, I don't really remember the show, which is probably a bit. I don't know. It's funny that I don't really remember. It is the story of this character. The three orientations show are the story of this one character that goes through his Western outlook on the world. He experiences several countries and several forms of encounters with others, with other cultures of the world, other countries, and just well, just the mere concept that I just exposed, that was speaking to me. And and then at the end of this performance, I approached Michael, and then
Michael,
Michael Walling, the
yeah.
director of, and the artistic director of Border Crossing. And it's funny also because I remember at the time I didn't understand the British irony so much, and so I go to him with all my enthusiasm and my youth, I guess. And I go, yeah, I don't know if you know about this director, Robert Lepage, and he replied something with his great booming voice. Yeah, I've heard of him. And obviously, it took years for me to find out that he, like me, was inspired and yeah, putting out to the performing arts world and to the world in general the same kind of theater making. And but I really thought that he was meaning that. Yeah, I've just heard of him. That was funny. And then I think he was very busy. Obviously, um, I didn't dare talk to Tony. I was too impressed. So I spoke to Michael, and then I hung around. It was at Riverside Studios
In
in Hammersmith. I think it's 2006, if I remember correctly. Um, and then yeah, we were just I was just there. I just had said hello, and yeah, oh, and I think I managed to say that I'm from Mauritius, and I think he did say very briefly that oh, his wife is Mauritian, and that's it. That's it. Um, so that was my first encounter with border crossings, and then afterwards, I wrote to Michael. Um, I came and saw another show, and it was about being consistent. And
when you say being consistent, you mean you
in keeping up
keeping up
with
the
the work,
connection.
with
Yeah.
yeah, and also letting him know what I was doing. I think Michael came to see some shows that I was directing, and I don't remember exactly which. Also, my shows were imperfect because I was young. I was like before 30, between 25 and 30.
Aren't they always?
Yeah, they're always. Um, Yeah, they're always, but they're always imperfect. But there comes a point where um, you even, as an artist, you even manage to be on top of those imperfections, I think.
Mm. Mm.
Well, that's a side conversation. But yeah, so yeah, I kept in touch. And I think quite quickly, Michael gave me some credit because he invited me. I don't remember when that was, maybe 2 years after. He invited me to a conference called Intercultural Europe. And I think it was co-organized by Border Crossings.
Oh, okay. Was
Well,
that
certainly,
based in London?
yeah.
Mm.
I don't remember where. Was it at Rose Bruford College, or maybe? But it was organized, co-organized with Rose Bruford. I think Michael was teaching there, and other
Oh, yeah, he does
organizations.
teach there, doesn't he? Mm.
Yeah. But all of this is a bit unclear. But
But it had impact on
it
you.
had an impact, and I remember going to this conference. Feeling very impressed by the speeches and the speakers. There was Jatinder Verma, who founded Tara Arts and who is obviously a pioneer of non-Western art in the UK theatre. Um, and I don't know who else, but I remember again feeling a sense of belonging
Mm-hmm.
that
Connection.
connection, yeah,
Mm.
that I didn't find anywhere else really. Um, and yeah, so that's how the story started. But it's a long start. It's like uh, yeah. And then I think one day
Mm.
I found myself in a place where I needed advice because my company was growing and I was feeling that, oh, actually this is viable.
What was your company called?
So I founded Exchange Theatre in 2006.
Oh, okay. So it's always called the Exchange Theatre,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it was always good. Um, the company we started with my partner at the time,
Mm.
and the idea was there's so much European theater that is not performed here. So you don't have I don't know Cervantes, Calderon, Goldoni. This very very very
Mm-hmm.
rare, and I think the word is not strong enough. There's really not enough of non-British theatre. But even if you look at British theatre, the classics are only Shakespeare, tiny bit of Marlowe and Middleton and Rowley, some Restoration comedies, but I mean, that's not enough. Um,
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Lack of money, lack of interest.
I really don't know.
Yeah,
And I
just
think
interesting.
also I don't. It's there's something funny. Um, is that I try sometimes not to make strong opinions on British theatre because it is my host country. So
Mm.
um, I know what I can do. I know how I can contribute, but I'm not sure it's my place to really judge what's going on because sometimes I don't have the whole background, even though I've been here 20 years. So I don't know why that's the situation. But I thought at the time, well, let's do what I know and let's bring some French plays, some French classics. And I was looking at doing only things that are super big in France, that are touring the country. Like for example, we started with The Exchange by Paul Claudel.
Mm.
Paul Claudel is a French symbolist. It's like T.S. Eliot.
Oh,
Um, or Virginia Woolf. And in France, there's always a Claudel touring
okay.
the country. And here, completely unknown. So
Mm.
I thought, let's do this. Um, and it was called The Exchange. And it was also the founding name of the company. And I don't think Michael saw that because I think that was also before I met him. And then we did a couple of other shows. One bigger one, the imperfect one that I mentioned, was The Flies. That was 2008 and 9. And I think Michael saw that. And I think, I don't know, I never asked him, but I thought maybe he felt a connection because there was a lot of multimedia. We used several screens, and we had a whole work that was using multimedia as part of the narrative. It wasn't just like Michael does. It is a character. It's so yeah. Maybe he felt that there was some kinship too. Um, And then, yeah, I was getting to the fact that at one point I wanted to solidify the company and make it more, um, just structure it. I wanted to structure it. And obviously he had done that. So, um, and I don't know when that was. I don't have a memory of exactly the time, but probably 2009 or something. Um, and he invited me to meet him at Border Crossings office at the time. Um, and then he was very generous, and that's the first big conversation we had. He was very listening, and he was very generous in really offering me time to to understand how his structure worked and what steps I needed to take.
So how you might also participate in border crossings, or was that too early?
No, I always told him that I was keen to work with him, but I think I was pragmatic enough to understand that, well, you don't do anything you want with whom you want. It's just, the project comes along and it's the right one. But I think you're right to ask this now because it is also one of the first time that we spoke more clearly about the Mauritian connection. And he did say at this meeting, he did say, um, I have a Mauritian project in mind, but nothing more than this.
So was that wasn't too fat. It was
That was, sorry,
was that the great experiment?
he probably was referring to
Yeah.
that, but he didn't say.
Okay.
And I understand that. I do the same. I don't jinx projects until they have a viability to exist. So sometimes they're just a gem of an idea, and you don't even say the name. You just and I think that's something that is very soothing looking back. Is that when the project really came about, but almost another decade after, it's very, very nice to know that he's always had me in the back of his mind from the moment he met me, I think.
So it's like your foundations together, gradually you built on it,
Yeah,
and eventually the project arrives.
yeah. And I think also the conversations, um, yeah, and also the mentoring. I think it's funny because I don't. It's weird how memory works because I don't exactly remember what he gave me advice on, but he definitely. There's so many things in how the company is structured or that are based on conversations I had with Michael.
So the company is, it seems that it's very much about collaboration and intercultural collaboration as well, and also about shared authorship. and co-production.
Hmm.
So I'm sort of assuming that, okay, there was mentoring, but it wasn't like a kind of mentoring program. It was more kind of informal than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. It's interesting because although we are artists and we create, until we got to do a show together, we didn't talk so much about the art, and it was really about structural thinking. He was helping me shape um, exchange theater, and I think that sometimes just having someone in the industry who says, I remember one day I was trying to build a board, which actually got completely interrupted by COVID and my co-director leaving and still not done. But I remember at one point we were working on this, and he looked at the work we were doing, and he just went, "It's very simple." He just went, "I think you're doing everything correctly. I think that's the way to do it." And that's great,
Yeah.
you know, because yeah, you don't get a lot of that. Um,
So what was the first production?
so then, yeah, fast forward to the Great Experiment. When was it? I think in 2014, something like this. Michael really mentioned it, mentioned the show. Um, Tentatively, because he didn't have yet funding in place, but he knew he wanted to do it, and I think also I was honored because he said, "Would you want to partner with Exchange Theatre on this?" Because yeah, we had acquired this space here, so um, we did something together. In one of the many uh, international collaborations and theater labs that Border Crossings does. At one point, there was one with collaborators from all over Europe, and there was a couple of maybe 3 days workshop, and Border Crossings came here, and I was invited, but he hired the space for the first time. Uh, And I just thought, wow, that's great. I think that's a way to give me credit, to say, let's come to do our border crossings work in your space. And for me, I was, it it's the moment where I started feeling less junior, and um, so, and also on a personal, my personal journey or my company's journey was also growing. I had some accolades, as you say, and nominations and some good work. I was also more and more clear about what I was doing, and yeah, and so I think he saw that growth. Um, and so, what's strange is that this European Day was the day of the Brexit vote. That's
That's, yeah.
that's serendipity, but uh, negative one.
Yes.
It was, yeah. So on that day that people were voting out, we were a bunch of Europeans working with the British director here in Exchange Theatre Studio, which is a migrant theatre company. Um,
Well, it couldn't sort of say more about the basis of exchange and border crossings that you
yeah,
were doing that on that day.
yeah, exactly. There's symbolically.
in a massively negative time, you're doing something very forward looking, very positive, that is still going.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So you were contributing to the Great Experiment in terms of your company and also as an actor
yeah.
and also your personal experience, your background as a Mauritian person.
Yeah. So I think Michael really wanted Mauritian people for a show that was talking. It's not a show about Mauritians.
No.
About Mauritians, it is a show about indentured labor as a system, as a global system, and because Mauritius was the place where they experimented, so the great, hence the name, before it went global, it really made sense that yeah, we used the for several reasons. Again, that's planet alignments. There was Nisha, so Michael's wife, myself, this research that Michael had done on indentured labor, and also on globalization. But that's his life's work, I think. Understanding how globalization is something that made the world communicate faster from all over on the globe, but at the same time created many different systems of exploitations of yeah, it's just global capitalism, and I think that's Michael's life's work, and I think that he does a lot of work around the same idea, but maybe it's bold of me to say, but I think Great Experiment encapsulated quite a lot of converging research that he had been leading for a long time.
It seems to come from, or come together from, obviously the historical research that was done that you're saying Michael did, but I think there were other historical researchers
Yeah,
adding to it. And then the individual stories, the individual backgrounds
yeah,
of the actors, and also talking to your families.
yeah. So we had researchers, historians, scholars in the room with us for the research and development weeks. I think out of the 3 weeks or four, we had a researcher for 3 of the 4 weeks.
Is 4 weeks R&D time, is that kind of standard or is that quite long?
Um, it is quite long, but it shouldn't be like I think that's what we need. But it's great
Oh,
that
yeah, I
yeah,
meant that as a
yeah,
positive
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. No, it's a good thing. Um, and yeah, it was a very exciting time. It was back in 2017. Um, well, because it's the first time. No, it's not the first time. That's not true. Because I had done this show in Mauritius back in 2015 already, called Sous la Varangue in French, that allowed me already to explore my Mauritian identity.
Oh, okay.
And so I went to Mauritius to perform it. I spent months in Mauritius, so I was very connected to my home country at that time. But the production, however really good it is, it didn't have this documentarian level to it. It was a good novelization, romanticization in a way. Very decent, but yeah, it was really the angle of fiction, how to tell these stories with a made up one. Um, and then Michael comes along with the great experiment, and immediately I feel that this is going to be different because it's going to be more of a yeah, this kind of um, documentary style to it, and so I was not playing a character. We all played ourselves, and that also emerged from the rehearsal. But very quickly, like I think in 2 days, we I said this before in another interview when we were promoting the show. We we started devising the show, and we tried to represent the life of indentured laborers at the time, and it was really bad. It was not good theater because it was bad imitation, um, and because it's theater, you can't do 12 Years a Slave. You know, it's not. You
Right.
don't have the same media. So very quickly, the conversations we were having became the show.
The conversations that you were having as actors about where you all came from
Yeah,
and your backgrounds,
yeah,
your cultural, ethnic backgrounds, etc.
yeah. Um, and this uh, dialogue between two people of Mauritian origins, but also with very different personal journeys or connection to Mauritius, or even very different families, Mauritian families. And this dialogue between us and also the non-Mauritian actors, also from different
Yeah.
backgrounds.
And how did that work when you were putting it together? I can imagine it could have been quite, well, emotional, hard work, some of it quite painful, possibly. Did that, any of that emerge?
Yeah.
Well, obviously you don't have to talk about it, but
No,
if you feel comfortable to talk about it.
no, I do. Um, it's there was first and foremost there was a big playfulness in the room, and that's thanks to Michael. I think he, through years of devising, he brought some exercise, writing exercise, and devising exercises that are really helpful to play, to create theater and act. There was something intense because, well, the topics we were dealing with very quickly dealt with racism, and one of the actor was black, and very affected by what was said in the room, not obviously as objective truth, but as looking back at the state of mind of the time. Some things were said in the room as a kind of verbatim of that time that were horrible. They were absolutely, which were really offensive. Um, and actually, this actor didn't do the show. It's another actor who did the show. I don't know whether that's really what I never really knew what happened. Maybe he got another job,
But
but I
that
knew
just,
that it is in the show what
that's just
happened.
what I was going to say. I
Yeah,
saw that. Yeah.
you
But
saw the
like,
show.
yeah, I didn't, I saw a film of it.
Yeah,
So
you saw the show.
I was going to ask whether, because that comes up, um, twice, doesn't he, with two of the characters saying, "Oh, I
Yeah,
can't do this; it's too painful."
yeah, yeah. And and the second one is me, is when I
Mm.
kind of break down. This really happened. Um, and it wasn't at all directed. It was not personal, but I think what is in the show. So the character of Nisha um, regurgitating an inherited racism that is also in my family. Um, but her character, not her, her character, because Nisha quite felt it wasn't easy to redo this moment every time.
Mm.
The first time she improved it, um, it was very intense, and my reaction was also very intense. So I think I cried for a few seconds in the show, but actually it is like um, it is shrinking it for the show into something short. But I was super emotional for a long time.
I'd imagine that that process of shrinking it sort of also makes it stronger and more difficult to
Yeah,
feel yourself,
yeah,
because you're feeling it as obviously as an actor, but also as a person.
yeah.
Um,
And I remember that on the fun side, it's something that with Michael we always battled gently about, because I was reliving it every time, and I was really again collapsing into tears, and Michael was like, "No, just bring it, like, now do act, bring it down, not a notch, like bring it down a lot, so that we you don't need to see your breakdown." And I couldn't help it. I was like, I think that's what it should. That's what it should be. And I think if we do it again, the same will happen. But that's fine. And I think that's part of the process. Um, this conversation, and I think that's why this show is so great. Um, Michael really embraces um, the the inner life of the actors, and also it's funny because I think he is in the show, although his character isn't. Um, yeah, I don't know how to make that to expand on this, but I know Michael is in the show very much.
well, you're certainly bringing up, the show brings up incredibly, what to call them, difficulties, and a shocking understatement, but just even when you're talking about the word coolie, for instance, when you're talking about sugar, um, the different the description of what indentured labour means as against slavery, as against migrants, as against refugees, all these things which are, of course, completely specific to that time, but also are now amplified in the current world in lots of different ways. So it's not only, I mean, obviously incredibly important, but also really hugely emotional. I'd be very interested to hear more about the exercises that Michael brought in to enable you. You said he has some writing exercises and so on
Mm.
to enable you to do that as a group.
Mm. Um, to summarize, it's about collecting in the big breadth of data, historical information, and testimonies that we have, collecting and trusting also the actors to collect the essence of the stories we're telling, and then from that collection create scenes that I like. There's a rule that Michael has to create 6 line scenes, no more. So, you, for example, you collect 3 or 2 lines that are not yours. It's a bit verbatim, or it's based on a testimony. It is something that you found through your research, and you improvise the 4 others around it. And that's a very useful truth-seeking exercise, because it mixes some things that you have to say because that's the fact, that's the data you have, with your human response as a performer to it. And so human is also sometimes emotional response to it. So that's one, and there are others. Also, I appreciated and I learned from this experience that we have time in a devising process to find the right word, to find the right intention, and also it's okay for an actor to say, I'm not happy with what I say there, I want to say something else. And it's also okay for the director to say, it's okay what you're saying, it's clear to me,